What would you give up to achieve the life you truly want? Like, imagine sacrificing something you love, not out of loss, but as a deliberate act to unlock something far greater. You see, men like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and Marcus Aurelius understood the power of intentional sacrifice. They gave up comfort, their personal desires, and even years of their lives to achieve something bigger than themselves. And today we're diving into this ancient principle with my Rising King's brother from another mother, Dino. He's embraced a spiritual process that's transforming his life by sacrificing something he loves to achieve deeper connection, clarity, and performance. So stick around, brother. Learn how this timeless ritual can help you rise to your ultimate standard. Brothers, welcome back to the Rising Kings podcast, where we're diving into the disciplines and mindsets that empower men to operate at their ultimate standard. And today we've got a special guest, Brother Dino, one of the Rising Kings unit leaders who's been with the Rising Kings movement since inception, over 7 years ago. And I've brought him on to share his journey into the Vedic practice of Tapas. And this is a powerful blend of self-discipline and sacrifice that is designed to really help you burn away the distractions and align with your higher purpose. And so recently he's been giving up these things that he loves to create space for something greater. And it's a practice I believe holds power when it comes to living to your highest potential. So Brother Dino, thanks for jumping on, man. Good to have you here.
Brother Ben, I love it because you have a preamble every time we get on. You have this we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I guess, when I think about, if I was working for you or the way you operate, you just like to make sure your guests are prepared, and you have this sort of process around jumping on a conversation on this pod. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I think you said something beforehand. You said, Dino, you're the calm guy. Why do you need this? But it's because I want to feel I'm at home with a brother. So I want to get so comfortable. I just want to sit back in my chair. I want to make sure all the equipment is to capture every word, every essence of me. And so that's
those who aren't watching it on YouTube, like we've got this naked man sitting right here in front of us at the moment in lotus pose.
I'm levitating, dude.
Levitating. I love it. So let's rip in, man. I want to understand more about this Tapas. Yeah, like giving up intentional self-denial in order to get something bigger. And I think the thing that fascinates me about it is I've been probably practicing that for many, many years. Just I didn't realize it had something until we had that discussion the other day. So I'd love to just understand a bit more about how has this come into your realm recently? Because we've had a discussion about it. And then what is it for you, man? Like, what are you actually giving up at the moment in order to get something bigger and better?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, Brother Ben, what I'm learning in my spiritual journey is, and we can talk about what that actually means for me. But a lot of the things that we do in the Western world that we think we make up, from business books, self-help books, breath work, meditation, journaling, going inwards, all this sort of this is all cool. But this has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And yeah, the word tapas is just basically bringing forward what we are actually already doing in our world, in our self-development world, in our practices of how do we become the best version of ourselves. And so tapas comes from ancient wisdom. They call it the Vedas or Vedic knowledge. So it's about 5,000 or 6,000 year old text. No one knows exactly. It predates even all that. They're mantras, basically, that come through many generations of gurus and culture, not cultures, but a lineage of really holding tight with making sure the knowledge is not lost. So that it's through before writing even existed. And so we have a body of knowledge that we have access to. And when I look at this. You go to these knowledge sessions at meditation, and they talk about tapas, and you're like, oh, and they go deeper into what it means and what it is, and I'm just like, I already do that.
Yeah.
I guess the only difference that I would probably put forward is that most of the stuff that we do are, how do we put ourselves in challenging environments so we can grow? That's the most of the things that we do. I suppose the little twist in tapas is, uh, which is something I really like, and you might be already doing it, brother. Um, I think you are. I can actually know a few things that you are doing right now, but it's to do with what are you giving up in exchange
Mm,
for growth. So, what are your desires? What's dear to you that you
mm,
can say this is really close to me, and it would hurt. It would actually suck if I got rid of it, and it's not because it's unhealthy. It's not because it could be actually something that it is good for you. But a
mm,
tapas is generally something that you give up that you love, you enjoy doing. It's a desire. It could be surfing. It could be the ceremonial cacao. It could be the morning coffee. Something that is actually not harming you, right? It is something that it could be actually good for you. But you're giving that up in return for a certain outcome that you'd hope nature would follow, something that you would like in the long term. So it's kind of like uh, an exchange, an offering for an exchange. So
yeah.
in a lot of the work that we do, it's really important that there's no outcomes, right? We go, hey, we don't want an outcome. We just the process is the outcome. A lot of the stuff that we do, but tapas is an offering where we say, I I actually have deserving power. I actually want to exchange the deserving, but the energy that went into the deserving power of the thing that I love most, which took a long time to get to, I'm going to give that up because I want this particular thing that's really outrageously like a dream. Um, or it could be a pain that you're going through that you want to let go of. And so this is the tapas, the exchange of offerings.
Got it. Can it be something that, like I'm thinking through things of like guys who give up social media or give up alcohol or give up drugs or give up pornography? Are they classified in this realm as well? Like, is it giving up
The
anything?
kind
Like,
the,
there's,
the, the kind of are what I would the only I mean they are in a context of tapas they are, but what I would suggest is go deeper than that with tapas.
mm,
So when we give up social media, there's already an offering there. You're actually giving back your time. You're letting go of distraction. So that the tapas is instant. It's the nature has already provided you the result because you've given it up. What we're saying here is we're going to give up something that's dear to us. It's actually not detrimental to us. We
mm,
really love this thing. And basically giving it up isn't going to give us an offering. Like giving up a my cacao, ceremonial cacao in the morning is not, there's no offering there. Like there's no return in nature giving me anything there. But I love it. I love the process of making it.
well, a
It
little bit less calories, mate, like
I literally through
might look a bit
the
better.
through the lens of a beach body, yeah, maybe. But through the lens of someone who's trying to put on weight and uh, yeah, 160 deadlift, having cacao ceremony in the morning is perfect. But more importantly, what it gave me, so it gave me a point of reflection, a point of calm, a point of it's my serum, my ritual.
Mm,
This is my, it's 4:15 a.m. This is my time. I get what I want and this is what I want. And it's been my go-to for at least the last 8 months. Before that was coffee, but it was, I moved to ceremonial cacao. Just the cacao is sourced ethically and through a dance of rituals before they make it into a cacao. So the way it is where it's grown, the villages that they go and pick it, the way they process the cacao, the ceremony that goes behind even just the cacao. And I think it's important I talk about this because we're going to talk about this later about tapas. Because I want people to understand what tapas is in its glory. But basically, the whole block that arrives already is full of energy. It's dense of energy, of love, and human touch, and it's purified. And then I do my bit here with the love and the process of making it, and then I sit down with it. And this energy really is, for the last 8 months, has been ceremonial for me. So giving this up is big,
Mm.
and so I'm giving this up in the return of I'm going through a financial breakup. So what I'm hoping from the financial breakup that it's fair. There's no like I don't lose. I don't feel like it's been an unfair breakup. So I'm looking for a fair breakup with the this financial process I'm going through, which is tough. Anyone going through one would know. A financial breakup is super tough. So what I'm asking the nature to do is don't be unfair here. Be fair, 50-50. Let's do this. And I want it to be done sooner rather than later. So that's
Got it.
the ask in giving this up. And the signal event is the settlement. So I can start drinking it again once the settlement happens. So whatever the outcome is, the settlement happens. So I want to dig deeper on what tapas actually means as well, brothers. But you ask, go ahead and ask another question if you like.
No, well let's dig in on that, and then what I want to understand, like just a couple of questions around, like how for the listener, like how is it best to set this up? Like how can they look at this ritual and in terms of self-exploration, self-growth, self-awareness, to utilize something like this? Because I think there's power in it, and I think there's kind of like a hybrid between the tapas, but also too like really looking at your own life and going, hey man, what things in here are layers that are stopping me getting deep down into my soul to understand who am I? Like, what am I here to do? And I like this premise of tapas because I think it's like a great opportunity for men, the listener, to start exploring this process. So go a little bit deeper on tapas, and then let's have a good conversation about, like giving up the ceremonial cacao, and then it's like, how do you deal with the challenges of that? Because I know you've got other things on the plate as well, right? Like it's not just the one. There's a couple of things, around
So
Burning
I
Man,
made I
etc.,
made
and
three
giving up certain
sacrifices. Yeah,
things.
I made three sacrifices.
Um, and so it's like when you go into the resistance around it and the desire to have it again, but you've made this commitment, I'd like to unpack your brain a little bit around like what are some things that you do to help move through that? Because, you know, what I understand, what I see out there for speaking with so many men, and you as a unit leader would be privy of this as well inside Rising Kings, but it's like we set out with really good intentions. And it just so happens we're recording this at the start of 2025. And I would say most men are going into 2025 with some pretty big aspirations and intentions. And I'm going to give this up and I'm going to sacrifice this, etc. But as we know, when times get tough, man, and it gets rough, and you get pushed right up against the edge. It's like, how do guys like yourself, like myself, like men inside Rising Kings, like what are the tools, tactics, and strategies we use to not, you know, cross that line, to stay strong, to hold strong? So I'd like to get in a conversation around that. So let's go a bit deeper on tapas, man. Like what did you want to share
Yeah,
around?
I think it's important to talk about the tradition of tapas. So where did this originate from? Okay, so it started from what I would call a ceremonial process of burning ghee. Have you heard of ghee? It's basically in India, it's purified butter. Before we can talk about the ceremony, we have to talk about ghee. We have to talk
Mm,
about what is actually happening when they're offering ghee. They're literally getting the ghee and they're just throwing this into the fire. And they have a ceremony, there's some prayers and some mantras that's there, and it goes on for a very long time. It can go on for hours, sometimes 5 or 6 hours, with the same mantra over and over again, and just continually with the offerings. But ghee, okay, let's start with that. So let's understand what's involved with ghee. What's involved literally make ghee, and we need to first to purchase the lot of land, right? You need land. You need the purchase of land. So there's energy of the purchase of land. Then you need good pastures. You need to make sure that it's well fertilized, brother. It's we got food, all right? We got good green food for the cows. We got to buy cows. We put cows on there. This is super important. How to get good milk, right? For milk for cows to be healthy, they need good feed. So the pastures, like the investment on the pastures. Then the cows, we have to look after. We have to rear them, to purchase them, rear them, look after them, making sure. Then we have to bring them all into a certain place, and we have to build the things to get the milk out of them. Right? We process, get the milk, make sure that's done properly. Then from the milk, we make certain creams, and what we out of it we make we there's a process of making the butter. We get the butter, and then this is thousands of years ago. Imagine the process of this.
Mm.
This is not today with manufacturing. This is like there's a lot of energy going into
So
this.
before Woolworths and Coles.
Yeah, before we should touch machines, and then we had the purification of butter, which is ghee, and it's like the
Mm.
top of the process of this, all this energy that's going into ghee, and so what's happening here? It's like the journey of us, the journey of the ego, right? The journey of the ego, just right through all this energy, and what have we got? We've got this surfing, the cacao, the thing that we love. We go through all this life, the journey of the ego, and we got this something we really love, which is the ghee. We love this thing and we don't want to give it up. How much work and energy went into this ghee. And now what we're doing is we're releasing that energy. We're surrendering that into the fire. And we see that transform into heat. It turns into vapor, basically instantly.
Mm.
And that's the transcendence of us letting go of that attachment to the thing we love.
Yes.
It's very important to understand tapas because that process is actually an analogy and a metaphor, a good metaphor to understanding why we do what we do. It's not it is nature based. Nature knows what went into that ghee, and nature knows what's happening when you're releasing that energy from that. All that energy is being released. Nature knows it's happening. Don't make any mistake. That release is being transformed, and it's an offering. It's basically what we're trying to do with the human version of that, the ego coming up with the purification of the baby. It comes in a pure state, gets through its journey, it collects all this energy of things, all these stories, and we have an ego. And how do we transcend that ego? By surrendering, by letting go, by offering this to the universe. And that's what tapas is. I think it's important that we recognize that there's this spiritual journey. So you said something before, brother. You know, to know oneself. This is how you do it. You
Mm.
offer something, and what happens? It becomes difficult. This is stupid. What a silly idea. Yeah, that's the ego talking. The discipline, the willpower to overcome these challenges is the process of trying to know thyself. There's an inner genius in us, in everybody, and I believe doing something like a tapas, something like, I mean, we do it with giving up alcohol and drugs, and this is a tapas. I know there's a instant gratification there because you feel better, but still, if you do it for a very long time, you
Yeah.
give it up. The ask from nature is, what do you want in
Mm.
replace? And you've got to have deserving power. If you don't have deserving power, you won't get it either. If you live in a state where you think you're not good enough, you're not going to get that either. You have to know it. So this is a important thing to understand. When you go through this process, it helps you. It helps with the purification process. It helps with getting clarity on who you are. The process of doubt, I'm not doing this, the hardship, that's the outcome. This is what you want. This is what we want. We want challenges in our lives to work out, how do I overcome this challenge? Now, this desire to have this, but it's controlling me, right? So,
Yeah.
how can I put other measures in place? How can I? Because what I feel, brother, is that when you do something like this, something so it almost seems senseless at the sort of surface level. That sounds silly. What a silly idea. But when you do it and you go deep, and there's that deeper intuition that you know you're following it in the right way, it becomes easier. Actually, that's because, like anything, you want to build a business, it's freaking hard if you actually don't have that burning desire to do it. Because anything worth building is going to be hard. And to get through that, you need that inner burning desire. Otherwise, you're just going to get beat. I mean, most businesses fold within the first year, within the first 5 years. Not many businesses
Yeah.
bypass 5 years. So you need that deeper inner sense of your meaning, your North Star. And this what this does. Something like this is more not around businesses or around relationships. This is about you. I mean, spiritual journey. I mean, you can find spiritual journey in everything that we do, but spiritual journey is really knowing who you are without the stories. And this is why I do this, brother, because it really brings up a lot of doubt. It brings up a lot of like the feeling of addiction, the feeling of am I really that person? Like, so a lot of I'll talk about me because it will resonate. I am the father, son, facilitator guy that loves hot chocolate or, ceremony cacao. But the truth is, I'm none of those things. My ego has created a construct around those things, right? I'm beyond that. I'm beyond any of those thoughts or any of those identities. And so this is the discovery of the self through
Yeah.
doing something like like tapas.
Yeah, man. Like the things that stand out for me in it is, like you mentioned there, how committed, how serious are you to get the things that you desire in life? Like that's really at the premise of this in my view. It's like, because if you want something, like you said there before around business, like you're going to have to sacrifice certain things in order to get a business that works. Like you're giving up the luxury of a paycheck every week. You're giving up the luxury of jumping into someone else's systems. You're giving up the luxury of being able to, distribute your workload across many other people and take sick leave, go on holidays, like all those things. Like you're technically giving up all those in order to sacrifice to this desired outcome. And so I think it gives you a really good, gives you really good clarity around, hey, you say you want something, man. How serious are you about getting it? And are you willing to give up these things in order to achieve that? And even like you said, like giving up some forms of luxuries, like I didn't set out in terms of tapas around the alcohol, etc. I just knew it was leading me down a better path of understanding of who I am, how I show up, how I operate. Even things where I'm like intermittent fasting. At the moment, like I've labeled down again with the brothers inside Rising Kings around swearing. So I'm catching myself here nearly every moment, not dropping the F bomb because there's a commitment that sits underneath it. And so I'm curious for you, man, like as you've been on this journey and you think back through even whether it's recent or in the past, like what have been some, bigger breakthroughs that you've had as you've gone down this path, as you've sacrificed certain luxuries and things that you've enjoyed? Like what have been some of the moments that you're like, it's really helped me do this, or it's helped me understand this? Because I think it's really important for the listener to understand that, this is an endless journey. I don't think it's like you do it once and it's done. But I'd love to hear from you, man. Like, what have been some of the things, like what, like recent discoveries, perhaps, as you've gone into this, practice of tapas?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is you said it before, brother. Like, these challenges or this, the world of putting ourselves into difficult situations is basically saying that I'm trying to transform. I want
Mm,
to go from a place of where I am, which is full of blind spots, to a place I would call that ignorance, and a place of transformation and awareness, greater awareness, which is wisdom. And that's what we're continually doing. We're continually, when we're doing these things as they come up moment by moment, it's actually found in every moment, but we discover more of it in these difficult situations where, that we put ourselves in. And so what we're doing is we're gaining wisdom from it. It's a cleansing process, brother. You said
yeah.
before, it's not a one-off thing. It's like a lot of people go on these like cleansing the gut with, I think they just drink fruit or something for a week and they cleanse the gut, which is good. It's good. It's a cleansing process, and this is what tapas do. This is what these sort of challenges do. It's cleansing the mind to get to a greater awareness. I mean, in spirituality, we talk about these gurus who reach enlightenment. Well, this is a kind of way of getting to enlightenment.
Yes.
This is the game of greater awareness.
Mm.
The greater awareness, more presence, the more you're tuning up the volume on what we actually have without trying to we're not trying to be somewhere else. Because,
Yeah.
that to me, that is the game. As I get older, as I find more wisdom and greater consciousness, I'm finding that I'm full of traps. I'm full of blind spots. I'm not actually who I think I am. There's every moment there's an opportunity to learn. Every moment there's an opportunity to have bliss. There's actually nothing. The only reason why I'm not having bliss at the moment is because I'm in my own way.
Mm.
And it's only when we get out. When I say that, is because it's the stories that I've told myself. I need to have this before I have this.
Yes.
The type of control. I need to have, or I've talked about this before, brother, when triggers are our guide. And what we're doing is we're creating triggers by sacrificing our things that we love. This could be masturbation, even sex. The things that we're really, this is
Mm.
this is pretty hard to give up, but this is good. This is a tapas. This is fantastic way of really knowing yourself. You're going into the fire. To know oneself, greater awareness, transformation. We are cleansing the ego. We're getting closer to who we are, our inner genius. What I've found is that there is a part of us that's never changing, right? There's a part of us that never changes, it never will. It stays with us from birth to death. That's the part I'm talking about. Some people call it the soul, the inner genius, our higher selves, whatever you want to call that. I don't want to get too woo-woo here because I can, but there is a deep, deep center. It's in our heart. We know what it is. Intuition is part of that. Knowing what is right, what is wrong, ethical behaviors. Wanting more good in the world, wanting balance, harmony, less wars. This is the type of place that we are searching for. This is
Mm.
the soul that I speak, and so the every moment that I have that I go, oh my God, this is a frustration. But I call them triggers. We don't even realize when we're triggered. And if someone brings it up to your attention, you're like, I'm not triggered. It's excellent. I love the word trigger, and I love saying it to people because they just go into this spiral. But basically, the trigger is the ego. This is the contract of ego of the things you like and the things you don't like. And so, it's basically the sum of your lived experiences. Psychology tells you that you are the sum of your lived experiences, and that's true to a point. That means that if you're born with in another place, and those lived experiences, you'll become another person, which is weird because how can you be really your true self if you can just be born in another place by happenstance? You're born in Sydney, Australia, but what if in the Middle East you're going to be a Middle Eastern boy with different behaviors? Well, that's not really the self I'm talking about. You're not the sum of your lived experience. There's an unchanging self deep within us. And that's the place that I talk about a spiritual journey, when I talk about why we do these tapas, when I talk about triggers, it's beyond thought, it's beyond our stories, it's beyond our lived experiences.
Got it. So, brother, if this episode hit home, don't let it stop here. Like, listening is one thing, but action is where the real life transformation begins. And at Rising Kings, we're not here to settle for average. We're here to raise standards, demand more, and operate at our ultimate potential. So whether it's in your business, your family, or your health, you know there's another level waiting for you. And so if you're ready to stop making excuses and start living the life you know you're capable of, it's time to take the next step. Join a brotherhood of men who hold you to a higher standard, push you to be the leader your family deserves, and the man you've always envisioned. And so spots in our upcoming Rising Kings experience are limited. So head to joinrk.com to secure a spot now. But don't wait for the perfect moment, brother. Go and create it. This is your time. Talk me through, man, just your view on this around how does someone stay disciplined through this? Like, what are your thoughts around someone who, like I said before, we all have good intentions, and I think, like as you're alluding to here, this inner soul that, or whatever you want to call it, that sits within us, our inner truth, and it is at the highest vibrational power. Like it's designed for love. It wants connection. It wants all the beautiful, amazing things in the world. And so as we're stripping these layers away from the ego, so to speak, and sacrificing these certain things that we want to give up, that we know, one, may not serve us, but secondly, to allow us to get deeper in there. How do you stay disciplined, man? Like, how do you stay on point when times are tough and it's testing? It's those moments, and I have these conversations inside the brotherhood quite a bit with some of the brothers, where they're right on the edge, and they're holding very, very strong on it. And I'm just curious, like, what's your advice for someone to, like, how do you hold discipline, and what's your advice for someone who might find it a little bit tough? They
Yeah.
go a couple of weeks into these things, it feels good, you get through the honeymoon period, and then it's like, I need to get the masturbation back out again.
Okay, so discipline. I guess my first response is I'm going to find it hard to respond to that, because someone like me it finds it easy to be disciplined. I actually, through the 20 years of having certain routines that help me become the person I am, discipline's become a lot easier. So I've got to try and think about my yesterday self when I answer this, not my today self, because my today self would just say, it's just a reminder that all these triggers, all these events, they give you this awareness that you don't want to do it. It's just another gift, another opportunity to go, what's going on here? Let's dig deeper. Let's journal on this.
Well, I think that's the piece, dude. Like, that's what I was looking for here.
Oh, right.
It's
Yeah. So, because
because
I wasn't
I think
sure.
people get caught up in, or men get caught up in this, really, like, the word discipline can evoke a very strong triggering emotion, right? Like, fuck, there we go. That I got 5 knuckle push-ups. Hardcore discipline. Like, it's hard. Like, damn, man, I gotta make this happen, etc. What I was alluding to, which is hoping you'd get to, which you have, which is like, it's the opportunity to become curious around, why do I feel really uncomfortable in this moment when this thing is gone, or when I said I'm going to do something, through journaling, meditation, etc., to actually to go in there. And as you said, like, I don't know about, for me, I wouldn't say it's easy. I'd just say the effort is less. Like, it's not as much effort to stick to something that I said I was going to do, because I'm open to the discomfort that's coming with it, because I'm actually inviting the discomfort in, because I'm very curious as to what sits underneath that.
Yeah. I mean, the only addition I'll add there, brother, is that what tends to happen is most of the brothers, or a lot of the brothers, and I'd say a lot of business owners love control. They,
Yeah.
they hate to admit it, but it's literally all about control. It's an attachment to a certain outcome. There's certain drivers, certain KPIs. I need to have this money in the bank. We need to get this sale. We need to have this done by this certain. We got all these parameters and a certain. I mean, a lot of business owners do well because of they're going against entropy. They're going against the chaos of what nature can bring, and they've had some success around it. So the control element. Some people become OCD like me, and so this control element sneaks up on us, and our ego hides it. And so what discipline, what I find what discipline does is that if you can say, look, there is a place where I'm comfortable controlling, which is certain areas of your work, certain areas of your day. But can we find a discipline where we go, I'm going to surrender to this? And what I mean by surrender to this is like, what are the gifts provided to me as a result of me doing this discipline? So what's coming up as a result of me continually trying to stick to this commitment. The willpower is one thing, but what openness can I have so that way it's better received and better analyzed, better understood? Because if we go at it like, more control, more like, w- that's again, we're trying to grab a hold of something. You said something before, curious, but how do we become curious? By surrendering, by knowing that it is going to bring you this discomfort. It is going to there's a trigger that's going to happen. That's what a discipline is. A discipline is basically doing something that is hard, outside of the comfort zone, and things will arise from it. And the outside world will challenge you from keeping to that discipline. And that's why when you keep to a discipline, there's a reward at the end because no one is sticking to their discipline. You get the reward for it. And so there's an openness, there's a surrendering process. If you can look at your small area of, I'm going to sit and meditate. I do not care what. I'm not actually, I'm a meditator. I'm a runner. What do meditators do? What do runners do? They run, they meditate. And so that in that commitment, in that discipline, in that process of ensuring that you sit on the mat, in that process you put your sneakers on and run, what's coming up for you beforehand, during it, afterwards, and see what gives I, I want to offer as well that I promise everybody this. I'm not some sort of guru. I'm just a
You
stand-up.
look like one though. Like you got the beads.
I put on the show uh, but I know that everybody has a whisper in them. They have a
Yeah.
voice and a deeper, I would say, a whisper of wisdom within them.
Mm.
It's not from a podcast. Actually, when you hear something that resonates, that's basically a kind of whisper to say, this is closer to where you need to be. This makes sense. There's a whisper there. You can cognize that yourself in your own journey of discipline. It doesn't need to come from a podcast. It just comes from a discipline that you choose, from a sacrifice, from a tapas.
Yeah, love that. So, dude, wrapping up here, like, what advice would you give the listener who maybe resonates with this? You know, they're looking for further personal development, personal growth, personal understanding, awareness. What's the simplest, easiest way that they can implement something
Yeah.
like a tapas into their life?
So I'll start with uh, why I brought it into my life just before Christmas. I wanted to go to Burning Man again. I don't normally go. I normally go sporadically, 2, 3 years. I'll go, but not every year. It's a big ask to go every year to the States and go to Burning Man. But I went last year, and I want to go again this year. And I was like, I just can't do it. I'm just like, oh. So I just remember the tapas philosophy. I'm like, why don't I do this? Let's give up drugs and alcohol and ask for you know a ticket to Burning Man. I'd really like being in a position financially, in terms of me and my responsibilities with being a parent, and obviously I'm involved in a lot of businesses at the moment, Brother Ben, trying to grow one at the moment in the health and wellness space. So just like, give me the opportunity to go to Burning Man this year. So think of a holiday that you really want to go on. Think of
Mm.
something you really want, a surfboard you're looking for, something you've got to think about this as deserving power. I don't want this to be like, oh, I want to build a better place. I want other people to be happy. No, 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 no. Be selfish. This is about being selfish. This is not this, I'm doing it for all reasons. This is one of those ones where you're doing it for you. And that's enough. You have deserving power. You got to know that deserving power, but you have to choose something that's going to hurt, something that you love. It can't be the second or third thing that you love. This is what I said to myself. What's the one thing I love about any of my day? Like, I literally sat at my table over there where I journal, I contemplate, I do everything on this table right over there. And I said, okay, what is the thing that I can't? I don't know if you know this, Brother Ben, but every week, every fortnight, I'll have some brownies. I microdose quite often, and like 4 or 5 times a year, I'll have some mushrooms. So these things are important to me. But the other thing that came to me was like I absolutely love my ceremonial cacao. Like I really
Mm.
don't want to, this is the one thing I really don't want to give up. I was like, so I've given up three things. They're the three things I've given up. This is the drugs, alcohol, and the ceremonial cacao, and I want to go to Burning Man. So let's see.
Why not CrossFit?
Well, I mean, I could be. It could be CrossFit. It's about. So this is what I did though. I said, what couldn't I give? Like this is for me the highest
Mm.
order. What's the biggest thing that I love about my day? I don't love. Don't get me wrong. CrossFit is great. I go there, the community there, but this was the one thing that I found calm, connected,
Yeah.
my true self, and I was just like, I've got this, and I've got my time of, and so yeah, that was my offering. If yeah, CrossFit was definitely up there to give up CrossFit, but you don't want it to be detrimental. So uh, when I say that, if I'm giving up CrossFit, I wouldn't stop moving. I'd give up CrossFit, but I'd still dig
Exercise and training.
running,
Yeah.
biking. I'll go deep in something else. But I don't love CrossFit. I just love moving, and
Yeah.
giving up moving doesn't make sense. That giving up like total movement. But there is stories about people giving up moving, giving up walking, they're giving up their shoes. They're walking bare feet. There's a story about a guy that gave up one of his legs, and he didn't chop it off or anything, but he just stood on one leg. It's a parable. It's actually not a true story. It's a parable. It's a great story out there. Out there if you can look for it. But yeah, there's some crazy offerings that in the look. I guess these are
Yeah, we're talking like let's start small here,
let, let,
listeners.
let's
It's like
let's start.
okay, giving up. I'll stand on one leg for 12 months.
Yeah.
Like,
So
dude, let's
what are
just
you?
start small.
So dream big. What you want. Be selfish in a way. Like it's for you. You want this, but you have to give up something that you love.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Like what I take from it, and for the listeners as well, is like I said before, like it's you saying how serious you want this thing.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's.
Because it's easy to go through life with vision boards and goals and the dreams and the aspirations, but the question you got to ask yourself is like, dude, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to give up for that thing? Because then it starts to prioritize. Well, maybe I don't want it that bad. Maybe I don't really want to go to Burning Man that bad. It's like, well, that's good. That's your truth, man. So it's like, is there something that you truly desire that you really think you really want? Okay, what's your offering? What are you going to give up in order to have that? That's what I love about it, man. Is like that's the hard question. That's the deeper question in oneself because I think we all desire many things, but what are we willing to give up in order to get it? And so that's what I love about it, brother.
Yeah, like I give you the TikTok short sort of snippet here. Vision boards don't work. I'm sorry. They're great. They're great as a reminder of what you want. That's it. I mean, the secret. I get it. You know. You want to put something front and center, so you see that in the universe and stuff. But vision boards are great. It's just a reminder of things you like. It's you don't get what. First of all, you don't get what you want. You get what you need.
Yeah.
I'd say that. Secondly, you have to work tremendously hard. This is what they don't tell you about the vision board. Tremendously, like for years and years of minimum a decade. That's like bare minimum a decade to get three things on that board. That's what they don't tell you about the board. And third is the one you just said, brother. What are you sacrificing
Yeah.
in order to get any of the things on that board? That's the short version.
Yeah. I love that, man. So what are you willing to give up? And then there's one other piece though that I just want to close out on that I think is really important here that you brought up a couple of times and I think can be easily missed. You you have to be feeling deserved of it. And I think it's because I bring that up, man, is because high performing men, driven men, ambitious men, a lot of the time, and even the men I speak with on a regular basis, I'm sure you agree with this as well, this statement. But it's like a lot of us, like at the heart, don't actually believe or that we deserve the thing.
That's
And so even
so
we go,
true.
hey man, I've given up everything, dude. I sleep on a rock floor, and
Yep.
there's swear words. I live outside. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Da, 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 da. And it's like, why am I not getting my thing? And it's like, well, do you deserve it, man? Like, do you believe
Do you
you're worthy of
believe
that
you
thing?
just,
And they're
yeah.
like, well, no, I'm still not good enough. Da, da, da. And it's like, well, there's the blockage. And I know it's woo woo, and it's taken me, dude, like I'm
It
46. It's
sounds
taken me
woo,
a
but if
decade.
you look at nature, that's how
Took me
nature
a
works.
decade to get that.
Yeah, it is all Joe Dispenza stuff. It's like if like it is literally it is basically you are putting a mess under the carpet, putting the carpet down and saying, yeah, like life is good. But the mess is under the carpet. You got to lift the carpet up. There's shadow stuff that's in there you
Yeah.
need to integrate. And we can probably do that in another podcast too. Like, what are your shadows? Why don't you think you
Mm.
deserve it? And the truth is, you can't even begin to deserve it. If you can't even admit that don't have the deserving power, if you can't even admit that you are an imposter, that you think you're an imposter, I'm not good enough, you got no chance of receiving anything from nature. Now, you are nature. You are part of it. You're not separate from it. You are it. And it's asking you of something. And they're real blockages. We
Yeah.
need to transcend that. So I've talked about it before. It's like a dam. You put every time there's a trauma or a story, you put a block down, you put a block down, and the river is trying to get through and it can't. Like the emotions trying to get through and it can't. You put this dam and you've put this like over decades and decades of stories and traumas of the things you like and you don't like, and mostly the things you don't like, and it's all just banked up energy. And you can pretend all you want out here, but you've got a block. There's a blockage here. And deserving power is removing all those blocks. You can do it one by one. You can do it in spots. It takes time. This is the journey. This is the hero's journey. This is the journey of what we do here at Rising Kings, which I'm a part of, and I'm very proudly part of the Rising Kings, brother. And I want to close on this, dude. Thank you. Thank you for the work you do. You are a beautiful human being, brother. I know you've been doing this for a long time. I know the work that you do comes from friggin' inside here.
Mm.
It's meaningful. It's needed. There's not enough of it. There should be more men doing this for the future of our kids, future of our queens, this planet. More men need to uncover their shadows. More men need to be around in community, in commune, and let go of any of these blockages that they have. It's so cathartic to bring this to the surface and talk about it, where these blockages are. And I invite anyone that's listening to this, that's on the fence, to come into the Rising Kings. It is most profound work. It is just incredible journey of discovering who you are, the capacity in amongst of like-minded men trying to do the same thing, supportive, I dare say, absolutely loving. The hearts that fly around in the Rising Kings is incredible. The love that's shared and the tears and really the sharing of stories is absolutely
Mm.
beautiful. So, and that's because of you, Brother Ben. So thank you for holding space, for creating this um I would call, yeah, a movement. Yeah, absolutely. It's this movement of, being a better man.
Appreciate that, brother.
Mm.
Thanks, man. And back at you, dude. Always honored to have you here on this path, sharing the journey. Love everything you've shared here today. I trust the listeners got a lot out of this. Like get on board, understand, what it takes to evolve to your highest potential, like to become the man that you desire to be. So, brother, big love. How can people get in touch with you? What's the best handle on Instagram?
Oh
We
yeah, just
evolve.
We Evolve. Yeah, just hit me up with We Evolve. One word, We Evolve. Just swap the last letter E with 3, and DM me. I love chatting about this sort of stuff. Just follow me, see our content. Love to hear from you. So thank you, Brother Ben, for the invitation again.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. Thanks for tuning in, gents. Look forward to having you on the pod next week. Stay strong. Speak soon. So, brother, if this episode hit home, don't let it stop here. Like, listening is one thing, but action is where the real life transformation begins. And at Rising Kings, we're not here to settle for average. We're here to raise standards, demand more, and operate at our ultimate potential. Whether that's in your business, your family, or your health, you know there's another level waiting for you. So if you're ready to stop making excuses and start living the life you know you're capable of, it's time to take the next step. And come and join a brotherhood of men who hold you to a higher standard and push you to be the leader your family deserves and the man you know you can be. Now, spots in our upcoming Rising Kings experience are limited, so head to joinrk.com to find out more. Don't wait for the perfect moment, brother. Create it. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Stay strong.